In tonight's latest news, Jorginho is close to signing for Arsenal. Wow, who saw this coming? Tonight has been dominated by crazy announcements after crazy announcements, but learning that Hakim Ziyech is close to moving to Paris Saint-Germain now. We're understanding as well too that we could be making a last-ditch attempt to sign Caicedo on top of signing Enzo Fernandez. And tonight, right now, we have some very exciting developments around Enzo Fernandez. Yeah, this month continues to keep making no sense whatsoever, and you're telling me that we could be making last-ditch attempts for Caicedo on top? If this investigation comes, listen, I'm not going to be surprised by anything at all. We had it coming. But regardless, you guys, if you're excited by things, I need to see some ambition tonight. Let me get 3,000 likes if you're excited with the developments around this football club. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Before we continue on, I need to get one massive plug out the way first. Today's video is brought to you by friends of the channel in One Football. The window is ending in spectacular fashion. Deals are happening left, right and centre. As you guys can see on screen, even Tottenham now have been able to find an agreement to sign Pedro Porro, and there's going to be even more crazy stories happening from across Europe, but most importantly in the Premier League. So use the follow feature to follow our football club to stay up to date to all the latest transfer stories coming out. As we see Caicedo joins Reading on loan, we are getting even closer to announcing Enzo Fernandez, plus a lot more, my friends. So what you guys are waiting for? It helps support the channel, and of course you're staying up to date to all the big stories and news. You'll find it below in the description and in the QR code on screen too. Now there's only one story right now we need to start off with, and that's discussing this Jorginho move to Arsenal. I mean, wow, what a development. And what a potential send-off for Jorginho. I mean, who would have saw this coming? This wasn't in the rulebook at the time when we first signed him. But regardless, it does seem like we've decided that we'd rather sell Jorginho compared to Gallagher. Now, it's not helping that Gallagher naturally rejected signing for Everton, because if you're serious about your career, you can't consider Everton right now. It doesn't make any sense. So we're deciding to keep him. And just quickly while I'm on this subject, I think it makes more sense because I feel like Gallagher's been growing as the season's developing. I like to see what he does with the second half of the season, but I do feel like with his energy, especially like in terms of his recoveries and obviously pressing from the front, his pressures as well too, he's been adding a lot of intensity and fights in the midfield. So him on the right hand side alongside Enzo, let's say when you need to see a game up for the next 15, 20 minutes, that could be a really useful thing to rely upon. So that's just one thing to think about here. But going back to Jorginho, it's believed that we want between 15 to 20 million pounds if Arsenal want to buy him. And I think they need to cough the money up, to be honest with you, because throughout this month they've been getting rejections after rejections, and obviously we haven't helped things, of course, but things have not gone to plan. And right now it's quite obvious that they failed again in terms of trying to sign Caicedo. We don't know if they're going to make a third bid for him, but they need to sign someone as a DM, and we have them at their weakest point. We can ask for more money now. So 15 to 20 million, it's mad because he has 6 months left, but to be honest, it's a rival and there's a tax that comes with that. So if Arsenal want him, cough up the money, but it's believed right now that a move is on the horizon, things are getting close. And I guess it now brings me back to the report that first came out from Ornstein 2 hours back when he covered this, and at the time of the article, it was reported that we would consider letting Jorginho leave if we felt some confidence that Enzo would be replacing him. So now if reports are suggesting that Jorginho now can leave for Arsenal, this only implies one thing, right? Yeah, honestly, like I'm saying, this month is really not making any sense right now. Enzo, let's stay on topic. Right now, seems like the plan is to move Jorginho out to bring in Enzo Fernandez. Jorginho naturally would be down in the pecking order, and when he has such a high salary as it is, it doesn't make any financial sense to keep a player that won't be getting as much game time. I think he's going to provide very handy, useful protection at Arsenal. I think in terms of, that authority and assurance in front of the defence. I think that short passing game should suit Arsenal. I think if you're an Arsenal fan, don't expect anything in the final third. He won't be taking shots outside the box or necessarily influencing creation in the final third. Obviously Partey, great shooting outside the box, really good link-up play when he moves further forwards. But Jorginho isn't that type of guy, but he still has his qualities, ever present, tactically one of the best in football. in my opinion, and has an engine for days as well too. So I think this is like a smart move to make, considering, you know, there's a real chance for them now to win the Premier League, and potentially it's a way for Jorginho to win the Premier League as well too. So I guess it's not completely bad, but still, like, seeing Jorginho in Reds, I don't think Reds is colour, to be fair. Like, he's always had success in blue, so it's going to be a really weird thing to see if this move really does finalize. It's funny though, because I'd say that Jorginho's form this past month has been good, and I'd actually recommend him as one of the players of the month as a candidate. I mean, I think that kind of just sums up Jorginho for me, right? I've always like praised him and criticized him, but that really comes from a sense of, okay, this guy is a very, very niche player, and he's someone you have to accommodate for. He's not as flexible. He can't fit into other systems or tactics, and I kind of feel like with this team in particular, not just teams in general, but this team in particular, there's this like contradiction between our midfield play and of course what the attacking players want to do in the final thirds. We've needed to evolve past how we use our midfield, and that's what we're investing towards right now. Still though, I'm always gonna respect Jorginho. I really liked his season under Sarri. I liked how this guy was at Napoli as well too. He's had classic moments for us. I mean, I still get goosebumps thinking about his penalty in the Super Cup final versus Liverpool. That intensity, that was a classic moment right there. So I think he should definitely leave here with a lot of respect for what he's done and what he's brought to. So let's see what happens and how the story progresses. But right now we need to move on to another madder story, and we have more updates now around Enzo Fernandez. It's now been reported that we have now prepared a private jet in anticipation of flying Enzo Fernandez out to take his medical. Let that just sink in for a little bit, yeah. Just understand those words for just like a few more seconds. But as the report continues to say, you know, the club secretary is finalizing all paperwork now for Enzo Fernandez's signing. Now, earlier tonight too, Fabrizio Romano came out saying that we're still in advanced talks and negotiations, but it does kind of feel like things are starting to like slip out now. We're getting a bit of an understanding behind what actually is happening. But of course, the good people on Twitter, of course, doing their amazing detective work as they normally do. They've already tracked a flight that goes from Lisbon to Farnborough. So, I mean, it's going there for a reason, right? So it's starting to feel like we may be putting this off right now. But anyway, we understand that currently talks are still happening. We're having like, you know, personal negotiations now with Rui Costa. There have been some pressure from the remainder of the Benfica board. Obviously, the amount of money being received this isn't just like a joke. This is serious. And as I've been saying, can you easily turn down receiving a world record fee for a midfield player? I don't think you can do that, especially not when you're Benfica and you can reinvest that money into improving your existing business model. That makes a lot more sense to me. But it seems like ultimately too, they also understood that Enzo Fernandez would not be happy. I mean, of course, you can take a rejection during the start of the month, knowing that there's like another 31 days for something to still happen. If a move failed right now, you got the potential of harboring an unhappy player who could obviously cause some negativity throughout the squad. Fernandez has made things very clear that he wants to leave right now. He doesn't want to wait until the end of the season. He wants to go right now. We know from reports earlier today that Fernandez did not take part in matchday training before Benfica play against Arouca tomorrow. He was training though, but it was just like a gym session, essentially. At this point in time, it does seem like paperwork is getting finalized. Of course, for a very complex transfer like this, you'd imagine that people are going to work overnight to make sure all the documents are sealed, signed, and finalized. At the same time too, Benfica are actively looking for a replacement, and it seems they are very close now to signing Alan Varela, the Boca Juniors warrior midfield player who would be an amazing replacement for Enzo. And I know that a lot of us football nerds in the football nerd circles have really spoken highly about this guy, so it's a great signing to make. And I'd imagine that Benfica can still make more signings before this window closes. Varela has a 15 million release clause, which means that Benfica can just hold direct communication with the player to get a deal over the line. So it does seem like currently things are in our favour, and tomorrow we should be seeing an Enzo Fernandez announcement. And before we end things, we have some information, some insight now behind, you know, finances behind this deal. So Enzo is set to be signing a 7-year contract, and he's set to earn around 7 million euros a year as well. So it's going to be a substantial pay increase. And I think Enzo also like personally owns like a percentage of any transfer fee as well too. So I mean, if that is the reality, I mean, this guy is set to become like a multi-millionaire basically overnight. So yeah, it seems like things are happening, my friends. It seems like we could be doing the impossible, and tomorrow is going to be tomorrow's going to be a classic, basically. Tomorrow is going to be a classic. It'll be announcement after announcement, bangers after bangers. Make sure you guys stay tuned tomorrow on BlueLionsTV. So right now we have to move on to another stupid story, and why am I reading reports that Caicedo could also be an option available tomorrow that we can still buy? Now, this report came from Steinberg from The Guardian, and essentially he's reporting that a move for Caicedo could boil down to money we generate from sales. Of course, currently, guys like Gallagher, Ziyech, Jorginho, we have so much sale potential in this team, and this will be key for adhering to FFP restrictions. We know that currently Arsenal have been failing with bids, and right now we don't understand if they're going to make a third bid. But if they're going for Jorginho, then I guess ultimately that means that they're not going for Caicedo anymore. So, you know, Caicedo still wants to leave Brighton. He's still been adamant that he wants out, and we can't forget that very bold play that him and his new agency tried to pull off by basically announcing to the Brighton fans and the whole world that thank you for this imaginary offer that's been received. It's been a great time here. I want to bounce and I want to do better things in my life. To be honest, after a statement like that, could anyone really remain at that club? I think that'd be kind of awkward seeing your teammates, to be fair. So I think something can still happen here. And knowing the fact that this move can be pulled off depending on player sales, and the fact that there's no release clauses around Caicedo, we already understand that his valuation is between 80 to 90 million, and we could find like a very nice installment package fee to get something over the line. If we can write off some expenses in the form of sales, you know, if we can, let's say for example, you're selling Gallagher for 45 million, you're receiving loan fees for players, I can see how something could work and something could happen. If Enzo gets announced quite early on during the day, would I be surprised if tomorrow evening is dominated by attempts at trying to sign Moses Caicedo? I think having Caicedo and Enzo, they complement each other perfectly. And we have guys like Santos alongside. You're looking at a crazy midfield three in the future. And yeah, it's just honestly like football manager stuff right now in terms of the business we're doing. And I still can't really believe what's really happening, to be fair. It's still feeling stupidly surreal right now. But I guess we've been told to watch out for Caicedo late moves. So right now, we end things by discussing another big story. And that's the fact that Hakim Ziyech is close to signing for Paris Saint-Germain. Now, the information we have behind this deal is that this will be a loan move, but I think it makes quite a bit of sense. Obviously, you're receiving a loan fee for Ziyech, and Ziyech has very high wages. He's earning around 6 to 7 million, and you'd expect Paris Saint-Germain to commit to paying the full salary whilst loaning him. So getting him off the wage bill, earning a bit of money, and knowing the fact that if he has, you know, a good season there, you're potentially even earning more in terms of boosting his transfer value and selling him on in the summer. So this could work out beautifully. You'd imagine that Ziyech and Hakimi are going to be having a lot of fun on that right-hand side. Of course, they did great things together at the World Cup. And to be honest with you, if you have a player like Ziyech, you need to have an outlet for him out wide. That outlet has to have the ability to stretch defenses, run in behind, take his man on. You need to free that channel inside for Ziyech to cut inside. He's like an inverted winger style player. And, you know, I'll always feel that he was just very, very unlucky here. You know, he was signed for a manager to play a certain system. The injuries came at the worst time every single time. Every injury under Lampard, under Tuchel, when he was getting back to form and doing good things, instantly out of the team. And then, unfortunately, in the end, the tactical setup at the time just didn't suit him. But he's still a quality player. We saw what he did during the World Cup. And for me, I'm happy that he's going to a big team and going to a big club, because I think he's better than maybe like a Roma, to be fair with you. And I feel like, you know, Mbappe, for example, receiving some of those Ziyech switch balls, wow. We'll see a few comps on YouTube before the year ends, yeah. So yeah, there's even more stories that came out, but I'm going to keep them for tomorrow instead. And let's hope tomorrow is going to be dominated by signings and deals and Enzo Fernandez being announced. So you guys, on that note, I'm EFC, this is BlueLionsTV, and catch you guys later for some more videos. Cool.